Boosted Board, the California startup that popularized electric skateboarding and helped to bring electric skateboarding to the mainstream, is failing. How did this hugely popular electric skateboard company that raised over $70 million fall this far? And will another popular California-based startup called Future Motion, the makers of the Onewheel, follow a similar fate? That's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. To understand the fall of Boosted, you have to understand how the venture capital business model, which fuels much of the modern tech industry, works. So let me give you the Cliff's Notes version of venture capital. First, a startup company raises a bunch of money from investors. Then, the company uses that money to grow. More funding and money comes pouring in during more rounds of subsequent funding from investors as the company continues to grow. With more money comes intense pressure to continue growing no matter the cost. As venture capital investors look for a home run on their investment, they push for supernatural and hyperfast growth instead of organic and natural growth. The only real option for a company that has taken significant venture capital money at this point is to eventually, option 1, go public, such as on the stock market, or option 2, to sell. Then there's always option 3, the least desirable but the most common, to go broke. Now that we have an elementary understanding of the nature of venture-backed startups, let's look at the demise of Boosted, and then compare that to what the makers of the Onewheel are up to. As a disclaimer, I have no insider knowledge into any of these companies. Everything I'm sharing with you I've curated from the World Wide Web and my understanding of business as taught to me from the show Shark Tank. Boosted Board started in 2012. Through clever marketing and the help of a popular YouTuber named Casey Neistat, Boosted Board quickly became synonymous with the electric skateboard.
This is a Casey Neistat world exclusive. The first ever need like a world exclusive. First ever unboxing of the Boosted Board version 2.0. Alright. What is this? Remember these things from 1990?
During this time, micromobility became a hot thing for venture capitalists to invest in. Think electric rental scooters. Electric skateboards seemed like the next big thing, on the verge of going mainstream in America. Boosted raised about $75 million from investors. Most recently was a $60 million round at the end of 2018. Yet here we are, just a little over a year later, with the company unable to pay their debts, having to lay off much of their staff, and looking for a buyer. So what happened? $75 million. You can blame increased competition, such as the flood of cheap Chinese knockoff electric skateboards. People love to blame the Chinese. You can blame Trump and his tariffs. People love to blame Trump. You can blame the coronavirus. Everyone seems to be blaming everything on the coronavirus these days. All those things play a part in the fall of Boosted, except maybe the coronavirus. Let's all calm down about that and just focus on good hand-washing hygiene. But what I think plays a big part of the fall of Boosted was the huge amount of venture capital money that they raised. How can raising $75 million be a bad thing? Let me explain. Once you take that venture capital money, don't think that there aren't strings attached, because there are, and there are a lot of them. Investors expect a return on their investments, and the more money that is invested, the higher the expectation of a home run. So instead of being a little mom and pop shop focusing on natural growth through a solid business model, there were huge expectations for almost impossible growth at no matter the cost. This intense pressure often leads to poor decisions and waste. It pushes companies to grow too fast and to move into markets or areas that they're unprepared for, all in the search of growth, and all with an expectation to go public on the stock market or to sell to a bigger company. In Boosted Board's case, because they were so beholden to their investors, instead of focusing on their product, the electric skateboard, they ventured into scooters in search of growth. It reminded me of a quote from the show Silicon Valley. Jack Barker, one of the characters in the show, says this.
Richard, listen.
No, you listen to me, Jack. You promised me that you would never compromise the product. So, do you feel like taking some action and backing me up on this? Because me and my product feel pretty compromised right now.
Richard, I don't think you understand what the product is. The product isn't the platform, and the product isn't your algorithm either, and it's not even the software. Do you know what Pied Piper's product is, Richard?
Is it me?
Oh, God, no. No. How could it possibly be you? You got fired. Pied Piper's product is its stock.
The company's product is its stock. Whatever makes the value of the stock go up is what we're going to make. And that's what Boosted did. They bet on an already crowded e-scooter market as a source of growth, and now they can't even pay off their distributors despite having raised $75 million. What are their options at this point? Once you've taken that venture capital money, remember, your options are 1, go public, 2, to sell, or 3, to go broke. Because the niche of electric skateboarding isn't big enough to go public on the stock market, that only leaves 2 options, sell or go broke. I hope Boosted doesn't go broke. They have a following, a brand, and an infrastructure that's worth something, so I see them eventually being purchased by a Chinese company looking to expand in the US market. While the price tag of Boosted board may be too high right now, even for rich Chinese companies, you never know. Segway, once knighted the future of transportation, sold themselves to Ninebot, a Chinese company, and now they make scooters and these hover chair thingies. The rise and fall of Boosted saddens me. But what happened to Boosted is an all too common story when it comes to the world of venture capital. Now let's look briefly at Future Motion, the makers of the Onewheel. Will they follow the same path as Boosted? Let's do a little digging. On December 15th, Future Motion filed Form D with the SEC after raising money with investors. Look here on line 13 and you'll see that they hoped to raise $3.5 million and ended up raising $3.2 million from investors. So now we know that investors are involved. Who are the investors then? Well, there are 3, one of whom is the Senior VP of Marketing at GoPro. That's pretty cool. I'm not familiar with any of the other 2 investors. How much stake do these investors own? We don't know that, but I'd guess around 20%, because it makes for nice clean numbers. For all you Shark Tank fans, that means in 2015/2016, 20% of Future Motion sold for $3.2 million. So the valuation of the company at that time, by my guesstimation, was about $16 million. So what does that all mean? Well, $3.2 million is a lot of money, but it's a lot less than what Boosted took, and that means a lot less pressure for Future Motion to shoot for the moon and succeed. Also, from what we can find, Future Motion hasn't raised any more money for the last 4 years, so maybe this means that they don't need outside money to grow, and they are going for more of an organic growth strategy. But Future Motion does have investors, 3 of them. Maybe these guys are like-minded folks like the GoPro guy who wants to see the company succeed and not just give up the farm to grow and eventually sell. Who knows? All I do know is investors are investing to make money and they're looking for a return. The Onewheel is a niche product and the micromobility market is still a small market. I don't see Onewheel ever going public because of this. So the other 2 options for Future Motion are to sell or go broke. I hope Future Motion doesn't go broke. I love their product. But if their next product is a scooter, then we should all be prepared for the worst. So the only other option left for Future Motion is to sell. That would be the only way to appease the investors, and I'm sure that there are more than a few rich Chinese companies that would love to get hold of Future Motion's patents so that they can enter the US market and flood it with Onewheels and all the variations you can think of. Sounds like a nightmare, but would it be so bad? Maybe. But I could definitely see the Chinese making the Onewheel at lower costs and improving the distribution of the Onewheel on a larger scale around the world, making it easier and cheaper to buy a Onewheel in places like Europe, Asia, and Australia. That would be pretty amazing. Let's just hope the batteries don't catch fire. I know I've painted venture capital poorly in this video, so I have to say that venture capital has brought us some incredible companies like Google, Facebook, Snapchat, and Uber. Unfortunately, not all companies are made for venture capital money, as we can see from the story of Boosted Board. I'm Jimmy Chang, and I love riding electric rideables like my Onewheel, my electric unicycle, and I love sharing my experiences with you. If you found anything in this video of benefit, consider helping me out by subscribing for future content related to the electric movement. Thanks for watching, and remember to wear your safety gear.